Hey, welcome to day 13 of the 30-day healing series. This is a series where I give you bite-sized pieces that you can implement into your life so that you can heal from trauma, no matter which stage of healing that you're in. If you're interested in seeing which stage of healing that you're in, make sure that you go down to the description below and take the quiz. The quiz is free and it gives you additional resources so that you can move into the next stage of healing. So be sure to check that out. I'm Angela. I'm a trauma healer. I've been healing my own trauma for roughly 10 years, and I've been helping other women heal their trauma for about 4 years now. And today we're going to talk about a topic that I feel like is very important, but it's also going to be something that you really focus on in the stage 2 or stage 3 of healing. The reason why I believe that you focus more on this wound when you're in the stage 2 or stage 3 of healing is because you really are healing in stage 1 things like sexual abuse, things like maybe you experience physical abuse, maybe there was narcissistic abuse, and that could have come from your parents or your father directly. We're going to speak about this in just a minute, but you don't really necessarily go into healing that wound until you feel like you are completely ready. And not that you're ever completely ready to do something, but there is a time and a space for actually healing this wound. And again, I do not believe that it's stage 1 of healing. So if someone came to me and they told me, I'm dealing with anxiety, I'm dealing with depression, I haven't started healing, I haven't worked with a therapist, maybe I've been doing some self-healing pretty inconsistently, I would not be like, yes, go heal this wound, this is for you. Absolutely not. I just would not. And maybe other people might, but I would not. So the wound that we're specifically talking about is the father wound. And the reason why this is so important is because the father wound is connected to your security and your safety. So if you are feeling unsafe, if you're feeling insecure, or you have this wound where you're just feeling like no matter where you're at, you just don't feel like you can be comfortable in this space. This is usually a sign of father wound, okay? And it also is about feeling safe, receiving more, and having more. This is also highly connected to your relationships, especially if you are in a heterosexual relationship and you are dealing with a man. If you're dealing with a man and you have a father wound, that mistrust, that not being able to feel safe and secure in a man's presence is going to show up for you deeply in your relationships. So it is going to be very, very important for you to heal this relationship, especially if you were dealing with a narcissistic father, or if you dealt with a father that completely abandoned you and didn't actually show up. Give me just 1 second. This showed up. Okay. So I want you to, this is what you're going to do in your life if you really have the father wound. And how do you know if the father wound is showing up? If you deal with a lot of insecurity, if you feel like no matter what happens, you're going to be abandoned because maybe your dad left, your parents divorced, or maybe he just left and disappeared and never came back. Or even if you dealt with a father that passed away at a young age, this father wound is going to show up. So what you're going to notice is if you're feeling unsafe all the time and if you're feeling insecure all the time, this is going to be a huge indication. If you cannot trust your partner, this is going to be a huge indication. If you are constantly, and this is going to be very interesting, especially if you haven't really tapped into using the chakra system either, your root chakra is actually very masculine energy. And if you feel tightness in your hips, if you have soreness, if you are dealing with you have trouble going to the bathroom and stuff like that, all of that is going to be connected to your root chakra. It's going to be connected to masculine energy, which also means it's going to be very much connected to this father wound. These are going to be signs of whether or not you deal with this father wounding. Whew, that scared me. The wind slammed the door. Anyway, this is what you're going to do. You want to come into acceptance, and this is why I say that this is a very stage 2 and stage 3 healing, is you want to come into acceptance and become very aware that the reason why your father left, or the reason why he was a narcissist, actually had nothing to do with you and had to do with his own trauma and his own problems. I know that it's so easy to see our fathers as superheroes. They can't do anything wrong. They're there to save us. But the reality is that they are humans. They have their own wounds. They have their own trauma, and they have their own conditioning that they've had to deal with. So when you come into acceptance that that your father is human, it's going to be then so much easier to then heal this wound. The second thing that you want to do is you want to realize that you are part of him, okay? Or that he is a part of you, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Your job, though, is to take all the things that you feel were really good about your father and focus on those things. And the reason why you want to focus on those things is because for most of you, if you have a father that abandoned you, you probably also had a mother that was probably resentful and had some things to say about what kind of person that he is. And so then you were then indirectly and directly trained that the parts of you, if you were just like your father, meaning that you were probably a bad person. And so we're going to talk about the mother wound next, but your job then is to see the good in your father, also the bad, and focus on the things that you have about you that are also good, because we all have good things and we all have bad things about ourselves, and those don't necessarily come from our parents or our father specifically, okay? It's things that we've adopted as survival mechanisms, coping mechanisms, because we have trauma from a father that abandoned us, or from a narcissistic father that even though he might have been there, he wasn't actually there, and the environment was so unpredictable, you had no idea what type of person you had to be. And the third thing that you're going to do is learn or discover what type of person you had to be in order to receive his love, okay? Now, this is going to be something that you want to try to look back and remember, even if your father was there at one point. This is going to help you heal the father wound, at least in the extent of this 10-minute video. It's going to create some awareness. It's going to help you release a little bit. But the reality is that it's going to be much, much deeper with healing this wound. And in my sovereignty program, this is something that we go into when we heal the masculine energy into my sovereignty program. My sovereignty program is a hybrid program where you get me one-to-one, 2 60-minute sessions plus Telegram app so that you can have coaching in your pocket, plus a self-led course so that you can go through that, and then we can work together as you're working through that course. This is for stage 2 and stage 3 of my healing. I recommend this for stage 2 and stage 3 because I want to make sure that you are really into a place where you can deeply, deeply integrate these wounds, because it's absolutely critical to be regulated, to be in this space. So if you are interested in that, let me know. Go down to the description and check out the link there. Tomorrow we are going to talk about healing the mother wound. If you want to see which stage of healing that you're in, make sure that you check the description down below, and I'll see you tomorrow.